Good evening. Welcome to Creators1News, and this is the Creators1 business segment. I am El Blanco, and I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. And remember that anytime you are not able to come into the studio when we shoot live on Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, you can always go to Creators1News.com on our website, and you can see all the segments of all the departments and sections we have, and you can also look at our profiles, and you can also book us if you need any type of consultancy in any one of the areas that we as individuals deal with. So I'm known for helping people out with business consulting, and we can talk about that if you need. Just go to our site and make sure that you let us know you was there. Leave us a comment, and if you got any questions, make sure to leave those questions. Okay, so tonight, last time we talked about, I spoke about the issue of the banks are slated to start, shutting down. Not all the banks, but a majority of banks are slated to start shutting down after May 1st of this year. It's not going to happen overnight, but that's when the protections that the Federal Reserve had in place for those banks, that protection expires, and those protections are or were the protections that kept people from going and removing their money from the banks in fear that their bank would collapse too, like the Silicon Valley Bank did. And but in this case, those protections, being that those protections are going to be taken away, is bigger than just that, all because it is tied to the commercial real estate markets. And when all the commercial real estates um, buildings that were those loans, when those buildings were they got when they secured loans to build those buildings and businesses, those uh those loans are going to start defaulting soon. And once they default, it causes the businesses within those buildings to default, and it's going to cause other industries to default because all these industries are connected in one way or the other. And that's why that's happening. So I spoke on that last week because I did not think people had a real, idea what was meant by, March the 11th. And so I wanted to make sure that people got that understanding. So, with that understanding, what are you doing to prepare for what's coming that we would typically think of or typically call a depression? So, historically we've heard the word the Great Depression, and they showed you how bad it was during that time because people were not expected to wake up one morning and their bank either closed or the money they had was worthless. No one expected that. Like, what are we gonna do, right? And so we have our different opinions about that. For people who study history like I do, for people who study politics, geopolitics, we have our different opinions on why, because there's other information behind the banking families and the central banks and the treasury, and why things happen politically. So, but the average person, they would have never expected that to happen, just like the average person don't expect the banks to collapse in 2025, 2026, and 27, and so forth. They don't expect these things. So, understanding why the Federal Reserve would have a program in the first place, and understanding why that program was in place and what it was put in place for will give you that understanding, especially now that when they start talking about the commercial real estate market collapse that's coming, and why it was very important that those banks had that cushion to continue to be able to do banking, to continue to be able to give loans, to continue to be able to purchase securities to keep their banks moving and keep people employed. So, knowing these things, it's like, what are you going to do? What are you doing in preparation for it? It is not a doomsday thing, because in this day and time, your government has always printed money like it's been doing through the whole pandemic, printing
There
money
he
and so
is.
forth. Your government has been, pretty much,
Um,
excuse me, we're gonna need you guys to have a seat. We're shooting, we're filming right now. We need you to have a seat and
hey,
put your voices on mute.
Hey guys.
Put your voices on mute.
wait, I just need
Um,
to do something real quick.
To know these things, because these things are going to affect every aspect of our society, because our society is interconnected. The banking system, that's the financial system, financial markets, and so forth and so on. And how can you prepare? I'm gonna give you one simple example. I was concerned about when these things start to transpire, I was concerned about what bank should I bank with. What bank is going to be probably secure and insulated from, these threats. And all I did was I saw an interview. I followed Warren Buffett because Warren Buffett is one of the main people we follow when it comes to trying to find out what's going on when it comes to the financial markets. Warren Buffett, in an interview, was asked, why did you sell off all your shares to all these other banks and you kept Bank of America? I didn't need to hear anything other than that. I bank with Bank of America, so I don't have any reason to believe, based on the fact that Warren Buffett himself got rid of all his other bank shares and kept those. And so those are the things you could do to try to get an idea of what you can do by following what the major people with major money do, because they will always know and preserve their wealth. They will always preserve what they have because they have professionals around them. They have knowledge, they have assets, they have all these securities. And these people are, sorry about that. Let's see, let me turn this down. This has been a night, ain't it? But yeah, so you have all these people who follow the market, and people who follow Elon Musk. They will follow Elon Musk as well. They will follow Elon Musk and whatever Elon Musk is doing when it comes to certain investments, or when it comes to moving in with certain industries. They will follow what Elon Musk, whatever he puts out there when he Twitter out information. Um, One of the main things that people who own this platform can look into is the fact that Zuckerberg, he sold $480 million of shares earlier this year, and people wonder, well, why did he do that? Why would he do that? You know, and because of that, um, that should let people know that people who own large sums of shares have a insight that there could be great problems with the market. So, therefore, because that's a possibility and a potential, you see these guys selling off stuff while the other people who don't know these things are buying those shares. So that means they're just going to transfer what they call securities over to someone else. I won't be left holding the bag, somebody else will. So, in understanding this, you have to start looking into ways that you can prepare for the coming changes. So if you make your money doing hair, you're a barber, or if you make your money a seamstress, or you make your money right providing services, specialized services, um, you may be in a better position than most people, because those are the kind of services that people they need. They always gonna try to keep up because that's required for their maintenance, and that's required for their jobs. That's required for a lot of things. But for those who are working jobs that are manufacturing jobs, that may go away when there's no manufacturing because there's no building going on. And if there's no building going on, they don't have to manufacture tools, they don't have to manufacture screws, rope, and all the things that construction sites have. And therefore, if that goes down, then there's less trucking, there's less product getting delivered, then you got that going on and on and on. And so less of everything means less travel, less purchases, less everything. So look into that and try to make sense of what we're talking about when we're saying, hey, the commercial markets are crashing, and the banks are at risk of that. And therefore, if the banks are at risk of that, you have a whole economy and a whole society that's at risk when you can't have money move freely. So that's what it is for tonight. We want to keep that information going. We want to keep people aware of these things. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in to Creators One Business, in particular to Creators One Business. I'm sorry, Creators One News, which is this segment, Creators One Business. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in. I am El Blanco, and make sure you go to our website again. That's creators1news.com. Good night.